Toronto-based cannabis startup Trellis, love that name, has a $2.5 million investment from that venture capital firm that was co-founded by Snoop Dogg, the rap star. Now, Trellis makes seed-to-sale software for the cannabis industry. We're joined by Pranav Sood, CEO of the company. Great to see you.
Great to see you as well.
So one of the big issues for the cannabis growers has been pesticide, and because this crop is prone to bugs and mold and stuff. So how do you help with that? Obviously, traceability is very important. How do you help?
Absolutely. I mean, our software helps operators track the plants from inception, propagation, until it grows to vegetation, flowering, ultimately when it's harvested, wet, dry, trim, and then when it gets packaged, all product needs to be lab tested. And so our software actually allows them to keep track of their samples, the test results that come back from the labs, and then that information carries forward with the inventory until it's sold to the consumer.
And in some cases, we've seen individual plants have their own barcode.
Yeah.
That sounds incredible, the level of detail. Each plant with its own barcode.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting. We operate across multiple markets. So we're in California, we're in Canada, Jamaica, Australia. So we've seen regulations kind of across the board, and most of them will require you to tag each individual plant. A lot of that's due to divergence. A lot of that is for public safety. But I think the key thing is, I think California did it really well, where you actually track it by batch from the beginning. And then once it becomes a flowering plant, that's when you tag each individual plant. But yeah, I think there's a lot of value for operators to do this for their internal purposes. Rooms and conditions change, based on each room. So for the operator, it's helpful for them to understand this plant that was sitting in this location ended up yielding more than this other plant that was in a different location. And maybe it's because the air conditioning isn't tuned properly or whatever it might be. So there's a lot of benefits to tracking each individual plant.
You're a hardcore entrepreneur. The reason I say that is you're not a horticulturalist or a software guy. You trained in business administration. You did a bachelor's degree in management at University of Western Ontario. So what got you into this? Why are you interested in cannabis seed to software?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. For me, I think it was, I'm from Toronto, and in 2014, the MMPR at that time, which is now the ACMPR.
The medical system.
The medical system was drafted, and when I read the regulations, it was so different than the old regulations, and it was one of the only industries that I've seen where the regulations force a vertically integrated market. So here in Canada, as a licensed producer, you not only produce, but you also take prescriptions directly from patients and then mail it directly to the patient. And that responsibility is all on the operator. So when I read that, I knew there weren't any other industries that had tools in place to manage everything. And cannabis is unique. It's agriculture, it's healthcare, it's manufacturing, and all of that put together. So I got interested because there's definitely challenges in managing that, both from regulatory perspective as well as operational. So I'd love to kind of help build the tools to help the operators manage that.
Yeah, we kind of forget that the licensed producers have some of them have tens of thousands of medical patients that they deal with. As you say, they're totally vertically integrated from the plant to mailing something to your house.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, with adult use coming in place, they're starting to put a distribution market in place. Dispensaries here in Ontario, it'll be governed by the government and the LCBO entity that they've put together. So the industry is obviously going to evolve, and it's going to start looking more like what we've seen in the States and California. But definitely the roots of it was that vertically integrated market, and that's what got me into it.
It sounds in some senses Canada's ahead, because I understand that Colorado is only now getting around to putting on pesticide rules.
They've had it since inception, but I think it's becoming more specific now, and they're learning more about it as the industry continues to grow. So and I expect that from many other markets. It's actually interesting. Most of the markets that we play in, almost every market has a maturity curve. And right now, every market is early on in its maturity curve. But some places like Colorado, like Canada, are a bit further along than others. So it's very interesting for us to go into like Australia, for example, where we're seeing the really early days and early stages of that market. And it reminds us very much of how Colorado and Canada started as well.
And did you call the company Trellis because it's like one of those frames in the garden that you grow things on?
Exactly. We're kind of that backbone that allows the operators to grow on top of.
What would you say, just finally, with the LPs you've dealt with? Is there a variety of standards out there? Are some better than others?
Honestly speaking, the ones that we've seen in Canada are fairly similar, and I think it's because the regulations are so constraining that it's really, there's only a couple ways that you can slice it. Whereas when we go to a place like California, the market's a bit more mature from an operational perspective, and things like extraction, for example, it's a huge piece of the industry in the US, but not so big in Canada. And so we see a lot more variety in workflows, in operations out there. I think over time, Canada's going to ultimately get there, and I like the approach that Canada takes, where it's slow, methodical, and kind of done the right way.
Pranav, thanks very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Pranav Sood is founder and CEO of Trellis.